Listen closely. Everything you think you know about God is a distortion. Not because someone has misled you, but because the very idea you hold is a shadow on the wall of your mind, shaped over centuries by fear, control, and false promises. Consider this. Most people don't dare question the reality they've been handed. They hold tightly to the belief that there's a higher power orchestrating it all, someone pulling the strings behind every event. They need to believe that there's a will governing the universe, a supreme justice balancing the scales of life. But what if I told you that no such force exists? What if I told you the universe doesn't operate with a plan, doesn't reward or punish, doesn't bend to any specific intention? It's an uncomfortable thought, isn't it? The idea that there is no overseeing force, no higher power watching over you, that life moves on, not according to divine will, but simply by what you make of it. Here's the trap. You've been taught to believe that without God, without a greater purpose, life is meaningless. You've been led to think that without a creator with a defined will, everything becomes cold, mechanical, and inhuman. But here's where Baruch Spinoza enters the scene. This was the man who stared this truth down without flinching. The man who boldly stated something that continues to echo uncomfortably in the minds of those willing to listen. God is not a being, a mind, or an entity with desires and emotions. God is the very substance of the universe. Spinoza's concept of God isn't the one we've been taught. God is not separate from the universe, nor does he sit on a celestial throne, ruling over fate. God is everything that exists. Before you dismiss this as another form of disguised atheism, think again. Spinoza didn't deny God. He redefined him entirely. What he proposes is a shift in perspective that, if truly understood, will change the way you see everything. Reality, morality, destiny, and freedom. What you're about to hear isn't just a philosophical theory. It's a revelation that tears through everything you thought was true, creating a point of no return. Once you cross this line, you will never see life the same way again. So, I ask you, are you ready to abandon the comforting illusion of a higher plan, to face what lies beyond it? Spinoza didn't just challenge religion. He challenged human nature itself, the deep, instinctual need to search for an externally imposed purpose. The frightening truth? He might have been right. But wait, before we continue, I need you to ask yourself a crucial question. If God has no will, if he's not watching over you, if there's no master plan for your life, what does that really mean? Don't rush your answer. Don't rely on the ideas you've already formed. If Spinoza's view is true, everything you've been taught about fate, purpose, and the meaning of life crumbles. Because if God doesn't think, feel, or intervene, then sin dissolves into nothingness, and the promises of redemption are just empty echoes. What remains is a universe that is indifferent to you, neither watching nor judging. And now, here's the real question. Can you live with that? Think about it. Most people don't believe in an all-powerful God because they have proof. They believe because they need to. Without that comforting presence, they feel lost, insignificant, alone. But Spinoza didn't stop at the denial of a personal God. He didn't settle for the idea of an empty, existential void. He went further. God is not a being who dictates faith. God is the structure of reality itself. God is the laws that govern the universe, the gravity that holds the stars, the electrical impulses in your brain that let you understand these words. God is not a father figure. God is the very fabric of existence. And if this is true, then freedom, as we know it, is a lie. For Spinoza, True freedom is not the ability to choose without constraints. It's not some kind of unchecked free will. Real freedom is understanding the forces that shape you. You aren't a free agent deciding for yourself. You are the result of countless causes, factors beyond your control, that began before you were even born. Your desires, your fears, your dreams, everything you are is shaped by forces you don't control. But Spinoza didn't see this as a curse. He saw it as the path to true freedom. Because the person who acts without understanding their reasons is a slave to their impulses. The person who knows themselves, who understands the causes behind their actions, that person is the only one who can truly act in harmony with their nature. Do you see why Spinoza's philosophy is so dangerous? Because it implies that most people who believe they're free aren't. Those who cling to the idea of a God guiding their steps do so not because they consciously chose to, but because it was in their nature to do so. They are like leaves carried by the wind, unable to see the forces that shape their lives. And here comes the question that few dare ask. If everything you are is the result of forces beyond your control, who are you really? The belief in a personal God with a will has given people the comforting illusion that their lives have purpose. But Spinoza says there's no plan, no judgment, no intervention, only nature following its own laws, whether you understand them or not. This means that the only way to find meaning in your life is for you to give it meaning. Can you carry that weight? Can you accept that there is no grand, universal purpose? That there's no hidden mission waiting for you to discover? If you can, then you face the hard truth. You are the only one responsible for your existence. No one will come to save you. No higher power is pulling the strings in your favor. It's just you, standing in front of a universe that owes you nothing. This idea is terrifying. It shatters the comfort of believing in a benevolent cosmic order. But if you're willing to face it, you'll understand what Spinoza understood. In that very lack of external direction lies a unique opportunity. The opportunity to be truly free, not to do whatever you want, but to understand who you are, why you are the way you are, and to act in accordance with that knowledge. To live without fear, without chains, and without the illusions that have bound humanity for centuries. This is the door Spinoza opened. But whether you step through it is up to you. But there's more, something most people will never grasp. If God is nature, if everything that exists is a manifestation of a single, infinite substance, then there's an inevitable consequence. You are also God. Not in the way you've been taught to believe. You aren't an all-powerful being who shapes reality at will. But if God is everything, if there is nothing outside of Him, then every thought you have, every heartbeat in your chest, every impulse in your mind is an expression of God. You are a part of that infinite substance, a wave in the ocean, a fragment of the whole. But here's the paradox. If you are part of God, then you are not separate. Your identity, the feeling of I, is nothing but an illusion created by your mind. There is no you apart from the universe. What you call I is just a temporary perspective within an infinite system. The cells in your body are born, function, and die, unaware of their part in the whole. Similarly, you live your life thinking you're separate, not realizing that you are part of something much larger, something without borders, without beginning or end. Spinoza didn't speak in metaphors when he said God and nature are the same. The universe is not a machine created by a higher power. The universe is God. Everything you see, everything that exists, everything that has been or will be, is a manifestation of that single, infinite substance. And this leads to a harsh truth. If there's nothing outside of God, then good and evil cease to exist as absolute concepts. Everything that happens is an expression of the universe, following its necessary laws. Suffering, joy, love, hate, these are all parts of the same process. There is no cosmic battle between good and evil. Everything happens because it must. What you call good or bad is merely a human interpretation of a system that doesn't need these labels. So if good and evil aren't absolute, then what remains? Here, Spinoza presents an idea that completely reshapes ethics. If everything is determined by necessary causes, the best life is not one governed by external moral rules, but one where you understand your nature and live in harmony with it. It's not about following arbitrary rules. It's about understanding who you really are and acting in accordance with that understanding. Ignorance is true slavery. Knowledge is freedom. And this knowledge isn't just intellectual. It's a way of living.